Okay, so today we're going to be starting our 5th unit, which is on functions. And the first thing that we're going to do here is learn what a function is. So functions usually are written in the y equals format, so you're going to see y at the front. And for number 1, we're pulling this function from right here. So y equals x plus 3. And that function is going to be the same for the entire table. So the nice thing about how these tables are written out is that they give you this extra space in the middle to kind of figure out all of your work, and then your answer is going to go in that last box. So I'm working inside this highlighted square here. So every time you see that x, I'm going to put parentheses here, and I have to put in the x from the beginning of that row. So for this first line, I'm going to put in a -3. And I like to use different colors here because then I can see what's changing. So when I write down what x is, I'm going to add 3 to that, and then I'm going to find my answer in my calculator. Well, -3 plus 3 gives me an answer of 0. Let's try out the next row. Again, I'm going to start out with that x first because that's what comes first in my function. Put that in parentheses, so -2. And then I'm going to add 3 again because that's happening every single time for my function here, and that gives me a +1. I'm going to keep filling this in, and I want you to watch where I'm pulling this information from and make sure that you're switching colors with me so we can see the patterns. So let's see what's happened so far. I'm about halfway through my table. Each time I've started out with x, and I'm adding 3, and I'm starting to see a pattern in my y column, and I'm seeing that it's going up by 1 each time. So I'm going to see if my estimate keeps going, that pattern that I see continues. So I'm going to pause the video. I want you to go ahead and try out these last 3 rows on your own, and then we're going to see if they match. All right, now that I've finished my table, and you should be looking at yours as well, make sure that you have all of your work in that middle column. That's really what we're looking for. You can see that my red writing, that +3, is the same for the entire table. That's part of the function, so that's always going to be there. No matter what x I put in, I'm always going to add 3 to it to get that result, that y value. Let's try a little bit trickier one. We're actually going to jump down to number 4, so make sure that you have everything that I have. It's about to disappear. Now, number 4, my function is a little bit different this time. I'm still going to start out with y, but you can see that there's more going on here. It's not just one number I'm going to add to it. This time I have y equals -4x minus 8. So I'm going to start out the exact same way. I'm looking for my work in the center column here, and I'm going to write down the entire function in one color, and the x value is going to change in the other color. So I'm starting out with -4 because that's how my function starts. Then I'm going to put that x value in parentheses, and then I'm going to subtract 8. Now when I grab my calculator and type all of that in, I'm going to put -4 times -3 first because multiplying always comes before subtracting. And then I'm going to subtract 8 and get a +4. So as I keep writing this down, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where those x values came from.
All right, so as Ms. Hexford keeps writing in her pieces for her function, we're going to talk a little about why we chose the numbers we chose for x. As you can see in the x column, we have a -3, -2, -1, a 0, a 1, and a 2, and a 3. What we did was make choices to put in there so it would give us some options for negative and positive numbers. And 0 is an always easy place to start. So if you're only going to do a couple, say 3, you might want to choose something that's really easy like 1 and 2 or -1 and 2. And that gives you an option to see how your y answers are going to line up. Are they going to get bigger? Are they going to get smaller as you change your negative to positive? So if you look at the answers that were going in, 4 to 0 to negative, as the negative numbers get smaller, remember, -4 is greater than -20 on the number line. So the numbers got extremely smaller as we started adding those positive numbers. So now we're going to move to one that has a fraction, because you know, all of us know how much I love fractions. If you look at the bottom one, we're going to do number 5. Again, another reason for picking out those X's and writing a few of them down, you're going to see a blank table and you're going to have to come up with your own X's. So when you come up with an X, the first one you need to come up with would be a 0. And then you can go up or down depending on if you want negative numbers. That's why we chose the first 3 negatives and the first 3 positives. So that would be your best bet, to try one of each on the number line and go from there.
So whenever I see a fraction and I want to be able to use my calculator, so I'm actually going to change 1/4 into a decimal so it's a little bit easier for me to type in. So 1/4 is 0.25, and I'm still going to squish X up next to it because it's still getting multiplied.
Eventually, when you start working on your tables, you might find it easy to go through with one colored pencil and start writing those numbers down repeatedly, because you know we're multiplying by 0.25 every single time. The more organized and structured you make it, the better off your answers and work are going to be. And if you have to do some work on the side, even though we give you a calculator, you might want to use some of that space, or the space on the back of this note sheet is blank. So once you have your whole table filled in, all you have to do is write down with your calculator, and you can multiply and put these into order. Remember, a positive number like 0.25 times a negative number is going to give you a negative answer. So keeping your positive and negative answers clear so you can see what the pattern is important.
All right, so now we've done 3 examples together, and you've seen how we work it out for the entire piece.
Okay, so you see we have a table here and it's all completed, but in case you didn't notice, there's a mistake in the Y column. Now, sometimes we try to throw things at you so you'll catch them, but we don't have a way to talk to you right now, so you're going to catch our clue. Look at 0.25, it's negative at the top, and then the third number down is negative 0.25. That can't be right. So in my calculations, I need to go back and double check, and 0.25 times the negative 3 is not negative 0.25. So I'm going to go back and fix that. This is a way to make sure that you don't move too fast. You definitely double check it with the calculator, because you will get a calculator for this portion of the test.
Okay, so before we move on and we get some time on IXL, I want you to go back to the other 3 tables from your notes page and try these out on your own. So same thing as what we did, write down your work in that middle column, make sure you have your answer and that you double check. You can't always trust those patterns because you can easily make a mistake there. Once you're done with these 3 examples, I want you to show either myself or Ms. Copeland, and then we can check you off before you move on to your IXL.